BJP General Secretary Amit Shah has less than 24 hours to respond to the Election Commission's notice threatening action if he can't satisfactorily explain his allegedly incendiary speeches in Western UP. So tonight we ask, can he justify what he said and dispel concerns, or is he guilty of incitement as his adversaries claim? My guests are BJP Gujarat spokesman and former Minister Jai Narayan Vyas, Congress spokesperson Abhishek Singhvi, the chairman of the Hindu group NRAM, and a leading businessman and supporter of Narendra Modi, Zafar Sareshwala. Mr. Jai Narayan Vyas, let me quote to you what Amit Shah said in Shamli on the 3rd of April. उत्तर प्रदेश में और विशेष करके पश्चिमी उत्तर प्रदेश में ये चुनाव सम्मान का चुनाव है, अपमान के बदले का चुनाव है और जिन्होंने अन्याय किया है उनको सबक सिखाने का चुनाव है. That sounds like a blatant attempt to divide communities and create enmity between them whilst hoping to benefit and gain political advantage from the outcome. How do you justify that statement?
Well, I think Karan will have to understand a little bit about the background of Amit Shah's entry and the kind of misinformation and maligning campaign that has been let loose on him. The day Amit Shah was assigned Uttar Pradesh, this was precisely the allegation made on him. Somebody said that he is there to polarize. Somebody said
Can I interrupt, Mr. Vyas? Let's not go to the background. What I'm quoting was on television. There's no doubt that he said it. I'm asking you, how do you justify? Surely no background can be justification for incitement.
Karan, always one has to read it in reference to the context. You know, if you say that, at the time of election, when this statement is being made, these words are being uttered at the time of the election campaign, and when you are talking to an election campaign rally, you are talking about using your rights, and that right is through the ballot box. That is absolutely clear and obvious.
All right.
So I don't think there is any room for interpreting it otherwise.
Let me bring in Abhishek Singhvi. Abhishek Singhvi, your party, the Congress party, is one of two parties that has complained to the Election Commission. How do you respond to the explanation or justification you've just heard from Jai Narayan Vyas, that in the context of an election campaign, this is simply an assertion of rights, not incitement? Abhishek Singhvi
is slightly more audible. Yes, your audio is slightly better. The rest of the audio is horrible. I can hardly hear, but let me say from a general feel or sense. First of all, this kind of hair splitting, this kind of sterile semantics is intended to confound and confuse. Mr. Amit Shah, by his symbolism, by his statements, by his actions, by the manner of his imagery for the last 6 months, in all over UP, is running a communal campaign. It is a criminal offence, not merely an EC notice. An EC notice is important, but it's a criminal offence under 153A, the same provision under which Mr. Advani and the whole horde of people who saw Babri demolition were booked.
Okay.
It is something which is directly contrary to every model code of conduct. It incites and provokes, and it is not this alone. He is doing it. The NDTV has carried a program showing VHP and RSS cadres openly asking for vote on religious rights.
Let's stick to Amit Shah. Let's not expand the subject to bring in VHP and RSS cadres, because then we'll become very diffuse. NRAM, Ravi Shankar Prasad says that elections are an opportunity for people to vent their grievances, and that what Amit Shah meant when he talked of badla or revenge was nothing more than this is an opportunity to vent your grievance. Would you accept that? Mr. Ram, can you hear me? No, I don't think Mr. Ram can hear me at all.
No audio. Mr. Ram.
I apologize, Mr. Ram. We seem to be having a problem with Chennai tonight. This is unfortunately the second time it's happening this evening. Mr. Sareshwala, let me quote to you another one of Amit Shah's outbursts. This time in Bijnor on the 4th, according to the Times of India, he said, Mayawati, to appease a community that oppresses you and rapes your women, you gave its members 19 poll tickets. You tell me, he asks her, can we raise our honor by mingling with a community that kills our men and our youth? Now, if that sort of statement would incur police action in normal times, how can it be acceptable in the middle of an election?
Yeah, Karan. You know, the kind of narrative which we have been seeing, and of course about Amit Shah and several others. But I think these politicians don't know that these kind of rhetoric will not work at all. I mean, as you were mentioning about the communal divide, I've been traveling across the country, even in UP. I've been to Muzaffarnagar.
Can I stop you there? You said something very interesting. These sort of politicians will not know that this sort of rhetoric will not work. Are you therefore admonishing Amit Shah for using this sort of rhetoric and for hoping that it will produce results?
No, of course, not only Amit Shah, but all of them. I mean, it's not only Amit Shah. You have range of politicians talking absurd. They don't know their ground reality.
So just a moment. Let's stick. Mr. Sureshwala, let's stick to Amit Shah. Let's stick to Amit Shah because he's the subject. Let's not make it diffuse by bringing in others. You are therefore telling me that you disagree with this call for badla and revenge. You think it's wrong, it's a mistake, and it amounts to incitement. Have I understood you correctly?
No, I'm saying that any kind of incitement these politicians should understand will not work. Any kind of divide based on religion will not work because it doesn't exist. The only divide which we have in our country, or the polarization which we have, is between the haves and the have-nots.
If it doesn't exist, Amit Shah was certainly trying to create it.
Uneducated.